here we are
Yeah.
with the D Files. Alan Ng, you've been leading the charge with Disney. Current and former employees of Disney have reached out to you and provided you with information about the inner workings of Disney. This particular chapter of the D Files, part 5, I will bring it up quickly. We will leave a link in the description for you to read the entire story. We're not going to read the entire story, but I'll share screen for a second here. Alan, give us a preview.
It is on the front page of Film Threat right now.
Yeah, if you just go to filmthreat.com, it's the first story on the page, but we'll provide, because we post about like 4 or 5 stories a day minimally, so things kind of get buried. We'll put a link in the description, but here it is. It's the lead character of Wish with a death wish type image. I don't know. I love it.
By the way, great work, Glenn Nuccio. I love this.
Yeah. But tell us the focus of this edition of the D Files.
Yeah. So in honor of Wish coming to Disney Plus today, it was appropriate that we talk about Wish. And basically, Wish is what started the D Files in the first place. Back in November, before Thanksgiving, before it came out, did a video, a review of this, basically called Wish the worst animated feature in Disney's 100-year history. And I stand by it, and I have the receipts. And so when we did this, a lot of animators saw the video, reached out to us, said, you have no idea what's going on in Disney. And that's kind of how the birth of the D-Files happened. I will say, though, a lot of the things that I said about Wish early on, I soon found was wrong. And I'll bring up 2 of those instances right now. One is that Wish took 4 months to make. It probably took 6 months, and from what animators have told me, that's pretty standard for Disney and the animation community today. It used to be 3 years to make a hand-drawn animation. With computers now, it's down to 6 months, 4 to 6 months. And it was what was unique about this in terms of the time frame was it did feel like it was there was a late start. It was the production staff who reached out to us and said, normally they have a year to work on any Disney animated feature. They're the ones who had 4 months to work on it, and they had to rush. And the conditions, the hours were long, which is fairly normal, but a lot of the perks that they offered when they were rushing to get Strange World out was taken away. And it got to the point where the production staff have finally voted to unionize because they were not part of the union at that time. They are now. So I got that wrong. And the other thing that I got wrong was that the sense that I was getting was because this movie was rushed, that led to the poor quality of the animation in Wish. Because if you watch Wish, it is badly animated. And the video I did goes frame by frame. We do a lot of screenshots where we talk about why the look of this movie looks so bad. And I basically said, look, these guys were so rushed. The talent there was so poor because they were bringing in all these Tumblr artists that this is the reason why Wish was the worst animated feature ever. And I was wrong. And I was wrong by a country mile. The look, the bad design, the bad art, it was intentional. In fact, it came straight from the top. And we talk about it. It was Jennifer Lee, president of Walt Disney Animation, producer of Wish, the co-writer of Wish. They made decisions early on that were bad decisions and couldn't be fixed as it went down the road. And what the D-Files here goes into is why and what happened. And basically, let's put it this way. If you read all 5 D-Files, there's a progression. When John Lasseter was fired, Jennifer Lee was put in charge. And we saw that it was time to bring equity to the animators. 50-50 equity. 50-50 women and men animators. And so they hired, they went in league with women in animation, and they brought in more female animators. Because there wasn't enough, they then went out into social media like Tumblr and started grabbing artists from there. These artists then come in, and they didn't care. They wanted the title of working at Disney. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about the traditions of Disney. They didn't care about learning the craft. And what wound up happening was, because of this new power balance, the old white guys, the veteran animators, they were slowly being kicked out, either out of frustration over the quality of the work, or they were kicked out because someone overheard them say something that was reported to HR, and then now life was hell for them. Some of the animators, when they talked about working with Jennifer Lee, it was very simple. She either liked you or didn't like you. If she liked you, you were given the best scenes to animate in the movies. If she didn't like you, you were given the crappy scenes. And for the most part, you were demoralized to the point of, to the point where you didn't want to work there anymore, because your work was not appreciated anymore. There was an account where people would come up and talk about Wish and the decision she was making, and kind of say, "Hey, this is not the way to go." And those people were fired or just kind of brushed aside. So here's the thing. When I was writing this early on this week, grabbing on my notes, it was all these Disney artists saying, "This is why this movie looks so bad." And they kind of listed it down, and I put it in the article. For example, here, can you scroll?
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you need?
Scroll to one of the images from Wish.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, so right here. So, excuse me. So one thing you'll notice about this is it's flat. The background is sharp and clear. Oh no, the background is sharp and clear. You get basically it's depth of field. You get no sense of depth of field in this image. There's the star kind of going across. You have no idea of dimension, and the idea here from Jennifer Lee and the directors, Chris Buck and Fawn Veer-Sunthorn, was that they wanted to replicate classic Disney movies. And so what they decided to do with Wish was they were going to make a 2D movie using 3D technology. And that's what we got here. So the background's all flat. You can see here how far is Star compared to, Asha there in the depth of field. That those birds, they look flat. They look like they're all on the same plane. This was all intentional. Also, because original animation was line drawn, you can see Asha here. She's drawn with lines and not with kind of the 3D modeled characters you see in current Disney 3D animation. And because she's young, there's fewer lines, but when you get to her older father, there's a lot of lines, and it just looks really bad. Scroll down. Go to the third page.
Third page, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, and go to the Wish picture I have there.
I got it right there.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the majority of the film is shot in this kind of medium shot.
Yeah,
but look at the background. Look at the building in the background. Look at the people in the foreground, and then look in the middle there with Asha and the dancers. It's just flat. And again, this was all these were decisions made early on. And when veteran animators would kind of call them on it, saying basically what I'm telling you now, she would just shut them down and say the decision has already been made. And so
really,
and so when I talked to other animators, this was the response I got. I go, I asked people who actually worked on Wish, did you see Wish when it hit the theater? And for the most part, all of them told me no. And some had even said, we didn't even take our children to see this movie during cast member screenings. Because people there knew how bad this movie was. And the reason I'm so confident in saying what I'm saying is because 2 nights ago, I stumbled across the Wish making of documentary that will appear in the DVDs. Mm-hmm. And everything I've been telling you about how bad this movie is, Jennifer Lee and the directors lauded as how proud they were to have made these decisions. One more thing in here that I want to. Okay, and then we had an insider who was at some of the test screenings of Wish. So they would go in, they were basically shown the movie as is. The first screening was in February, which is when the real animation started for this movie. 5% of the animation was done. The rest was storyboard animatics. That's what people saw. The moderators of this test screening, the only thing they were concerned about was, did you catch the Easter eggs? Did you catch all the Disney Easter eggs that were laced throughout the film? When the test audience talked about how they were confused by story and confused by the characters, they didn't care. They wanted to know, did you see the Easter eggs? Did you get that Asha's friends were the seven dwarves? Did you get this?
Okay. I didn't know that until you just told me just now.
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So here's where it gets better. In the second test screening, which happened a month later, more of the animation was finished. And they brought in a Disney adult audience. You got into the screening because you said that you went to Disneyland several times a year. Same thing happened. When the moderator asked them, did you catch, how many Disney references did you catch? The answer was they caught 5. they caught 5 of them.
Do you have an estimate on the number of Easter eggs that are in?
There were a lot. In fact, if you go through the making of documentary, it goes through quite a bit of them. I'll give you the insane examples. Okay, so Asha is supposed to be the fairy godmother. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, in Cinderella, the fairy godmother turned a pumpkin into a carriage. So they thought they were clever by lacing Asha's dress with pumpkin seeds. And not only that,
it stood out to me so much.
No, what they gave her an anklet made of pumpkin seeds. Did you see that? Did you notice that when you watched this movie? I mean,
okay, and the Disney adult thing is real. There's a lot of people that are Disney adults here.
Yeah,
so.
but the fact that they would point this out. Okay. So now here's the funniest one. So of course, we're living in a time where culture and diversity is so important, and of course, in Wish they brought in cultural consultants to work on it. So in the making of documentary, they mentioned that. Asha, her robe was her rain poncho, whatever, was blue like the fairy godmother, but her dress is purple. And when it was brought up to the cultural consultant said, "Oh, yes, you're very perceptive because purple is the color of North Africa representing hope." And ironically, Asha's name means hope. That's how brilliant you guys are at Disney are. This is what the cultural consultant tells them. So I decided, hey, why don't I do a quick internet search and find out, is the color purple in North Africa the symbol of hope? Well, no. The purple in North Africa of that time represented prosperity and royalty. When the Phoenicians would sell things throughout the Mediterranean, purple was considered the most valuable color. The most royal and regal color. And so it was meant to show that you were rich or that you were part of royalty. And so that got me to think that these cultural consultants will tell you anything you need to hear to make you feel good about yourself. And they probably didn't even know. And that's kind of the mess that's going on in the storytelling here at Disney. Look, we talk about it over and DEI has done nothing to improve or evolve the art form of filmmaking and animation. In fact, I will claim over and over and over again that DEI has done everything to regress and degrade and devolve art today. And this is an example of it. Wish is supposed to be the 100th year anniversary celebration of the Walt Disney Company, starting way back when, before Snow White. And this is the 100th year representation of all they've done. And they've regressed. And they produced a piece of animation that Walt would roll over in his grave had he seen it.
It's just the one thing that you always, that the Walt Disney Company could always point to is innovation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why they called...
You used to be able to say that you're right.
you can't say it now, but remember just like the whole idea of an Imagineer. Look at the just whether it's everything from the architecture to the hidden Mickeys, which everyone knows about if you go to Disneyland, to so many aspects of the Disney brand is about imagining things that are impossible and making them possible.
Mhm.
Is actually creating magic, not just on the screen in terms of movies, but in the theme parks themselves. And it seems like everything has been so lackluster. To me, I noticed it when Galaxy's Edge, going to Galaxy's Edge for
Mhm.
the first time. I wrote an article on filmthreat.com. Just look up Galaxy's Edge. I did a whole thing of 5 ways to improve Galaxy's Edge. And I go through like everything that was wrong just as a theme park fan. I used to have an annual pass to Disneyland. For
Mhm.
years I had it. And it's when you just see, and it starts with little things, right? The details that they don't get right. And a lot of it is I don't think a lot of knowledge is being passed down. I
Nope.
don't think there's a lot of mentoring, or not. One, there's not a lot of respect for the past. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest. And then there's also not there's just a profound lack of knowledge being passed down where everything else is bland. Wish is the not only the worst in the 100 years history of all the Disney animated movies. And I like some of the ones that are considered not great,
Mhm.
like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, or some of the other
Yeah.
ones were like, they're like, I look back on them fondly because at
There have
least I
been
feel like
misses. Absolutely. There have been misses along the way.
they've been misses. There've been, not everything is a home run, but there were at least certain things that they had in place where it's like the quality factor was there.
Mhm.
This is just, it's beyond a falling off a cliff. This is just worse than you could possibly imagine. What is going to be in the D-Files Part 6, which is going
Part
to be a
6.
couple of weeks from now?
Yeah, we're actually most likely it's going to be about Vancouver, the Moana 2 and the Vancouver studio. And we'll kind of get into a little bit of that. When you talk about innovation, yeah, Disney and Imagineering was always on the forefront of innovation. The last few times that I've been on that Park Place and with Valiant and the gang, Jonas, I'm going to miss everybody. So with that Park Place crew, the stories that always come up recently have been about things not working at the theme park. They put in installation, they put in a walkway where there are lights embedded within the cement. They don't work. And so it's not only the lack of innovation that has been missing from Disney, it's the idea of excellence, it's the idea of seeking perfection, it's the idea of being inspiring. That's gone now. The fact that more and more things at Disney parks are not working, are breaking down. You have a dragon over at Fantasmic that blew up.
On fire. Yeah. It's
On fire.
That's across the board in a lot of industries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, folks. You can't couch this. You got to go, but there is a general malaise and laziness and not a dedication to quality or pride in your work at all levels.
Absolutely.
This is happening.
And it's not like this didn't happen at Disneyland in the past. It just didn't happen at this frequency.
Right.
There was, like, I remember the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland, one of the greatest rides ever made. And there's 3 doors that you can go through. Well, they always go down the middle one from now on. And I get it. Ambition doesn't always pay off. But again, it never happened at the frequency, at the rate that it's happening today. And I think a lot of it has to do with the veterans who cared about perfection, who cared about excellence, are gone. And they're replaced with people who aren't up for the task. And they're the ones being put in charge. And that's what's happening here. These people who are in charge and working for Wish and at Disney, they're not up for the task. And they're accepting the idea that, we got it done and that's good enough. But no, you need to take it a step further. And because that was the Disney tradition.
All right. I'm looking forward to Part 6, Alan, of the D-Files.
Sure. In fact, here I want to show you. This is a picture that I shot from that documentary. Let me grab it here. But so in the documentary, the inspiration for Wish, The director decided he's going to take a wall and put up all the great Disney classics. And someone's about to get fired because a certain Disney classic got accidentally appeared on the wall. And I don't know if you can tell what it is. No, I guess you can't. But if you look right there, what is that? How did that get there? How did that get? Someone's getting fired.
And then,
by the way, I was gonna say I bought this was at Vaughn's, at my local Vaughn's. There's
so
down,
marked up from $40 to $9.99. It's
Yeah.
the Wish goat.
Yep. And remind you, the movie came out 4 months ago.